let's move on very quickly. Of course, it's always been advised that when you invest in financial services or when you invest in what you call schemes like managed funds, whatever, where the regulator may promise you that you'll be protected when such financial schemes fail, but it looks like such promises don't always come true. And that's what hundreds of folks in the UK are facing right now, some of them losing their lifetime investment because the authority says a compensation is not likely coming their way. But that's not the first question I'm asking Juliana Olanyinka from our London studios. That'll be part of the conversation. But first, Juliana, good morning, welcome. It's a Good Friday here. Let's sit back and hope nothing else happened this weekend, as it were. Last Friday was not such a good one.
It wasn't, but it's 2020, so anything can happen. We'll have to wait for President Donald Trump to wake up, Bosun.
Let's move on before Mr. President wakes up. So let's talk about what the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, is waking up today. That was a yes vote from the Parliament yesterday regarding the withdrawal deal, which he will be taking to Brussels moving forward. How will the Prime Minister be treating this yes vote from MPs yesterday?
Well, this yes vote means unless anything can happen, and, you know, when it comes to Brexit, anything can happen, but it seems as if the UK will definitely be leaving the EU on the 31st of January. Yesterday's MPs voted in majority to the Prime Minister Boris Johnson's withdrawal agreement to 330 votes to 231. Of course, Labour MPs didn't back the decision, but we seem to be way on the way. There are a couple of other things that need to be done. For example, this bill now goes into the House of Lords, where it's expected to pass through very quickly. And then by the 29th of January, the EU Parliament have to ratify it. And then we're out. What also was sealed and signed last night is that there will be no extension upon the transition period, which is the end of this year, the end of December 2020. We did have the new European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen in London this week, and she was honest. She said that she doesn't think an 11-month time scale to try and do a trade deal with the EU is enough. She thinks it's a little bit reckless, but she said they will prioritise. So it seems as if at least stage one of a very long stage of this year is over.
Very interesting. I'm sure there'll be more discussions as we get to this very critical January 31st deadline, as it was. So we'll have a lot to talk about. But let's get into the business side of things. Why is the owner CEO of British Airways, Mr. Walsh, why is he leaving British Airways? You have any idea where he's going? Is it likely to impact the shares of British Airways or AIG?
Well, I doubt it, Bosun. Willie Walsh is stepping down because he's retiring. He's had a very successful career with IAG, the parent company of British Airways. He's been at the helm as chief executive for about 15 years, but he's really known as a stalwart in the aviation industry, having started in the 70s as a cadet pilot and rising up the ranks to have formed one of the most successful airline groups in the world. Under his 15-year tenure as chief exec, he's really known as combining Iberia Airlines with BA. So he just announced that he will be retiring officially in March, but once he goes through all of the handover, somebody will take over in June. A lot of the discussion now, really, that Willie Walsh will be stepping down is, his successor is going to have a lot of hard work to deal with because, of course, British Airways had a terrible year in 2019. That was their 100th year of operating. And, of course, they had those pilot strikes over wages, which caused dozens of cancellations and delays. And they also had hundreds of millions of pounds worth of compensation payouts. So it seems to be a sad day for the aviation industry as a whole, but now it's looking into the future of BA and how they can turn around their brand recognition.
Okay, quick one, Juliana, we have about a minute. This is a very sad note to end this conversation and the week between both of us regarding the London Capital and Finance. The regulators, FSCS, says there will be no compensation, most likely
no
compensation for investors.
Yep, London Capital and Finance, really big, well-known mini bond issuer. They collapsed in January after owing customers £231 million. They had about 23,000 customers. Regulators got involved. The British government also have a fund where if you are scammed or a company collapses like this, they can help you. They've finished their results and they say today they can only help 160 investors. So you can imagine how many people are out of pocket. There are other authorities, however, who are looking into such a collapse because, as you said at the top of the segment, you know, there are some people that have put literally all their life savings. So it's a very bad story. There are also independent reviews going in to London Capital and Finance. So I don't think this is the end of the story, but a sad day at the new year for those who are hoping to get a payout.
I understand. I just dislike corporate collapse, Thomas Cook, and all of that. Thank you so much, Juliana. Have a great weekend. From us here on Business Morning, you have your lunchtime show at 1:30. We're back, everyone. Stand by.